State 16 was a visit to Antietam National Battlefield in Maryland to tour what remains of the land on which one of the most important Civil War battles took place in 1862. And the Battle of Antietam was an especially important battle in the Civil War due to its casualties, the fact that it was really the first major engagement in Northern Territory during the war, and the actions that would lead from its results were quite important too. After having won several successful battles in the early stages of the war, the Confederacy was trying to push north into Union territory for the first time, and they ended up doing that near Sharpsburg, Virginia, which is a town close by the video that you're looking at now. George McClellan was the leading general of the Union at this time, and he took a large force to try to cut off that advancement into the north near the town of Sharpsburg. The broad overlooks and rolling hills near a creek called Antietam Creek, hence the name, the Battle of Antietam, made for and allowed for accuracy in artillery fire, as well as a lot more difficult troop advancement, considering that they were often charging out lines uphill. That all made Antietam, to this day, to this day means World War II, World War I, any major U.S. conflict. It's the single bloodiest day in American history, with 23,000 soldiers either dead, wounded, or missing, and it was a turning point for the Union and the Army and its generals. Okay, so Antietam's confusing, but I'll try to sum it up quickly. The battle itself took place in three major phases that historians have come up with. Who knows if this actually follows I don't know if this accurately summarizes things, but really a morning, an afternoon, and an evening phase, okay, for simplicity's sake. The morning phase largely centered around the cornfield that you're currently looking at, in which thousands were killed in Union advances on Confederate lines. It's called the Bloody Cornfield. It was one of the areas at Antietam that experienced the densest fighting throughout the day. The Union was largely successful in pushing the Confederacy backwards. In the afternoon, Ambrose Burnside arrived in command of a Union force at the bridge you're currently looking at, and continued to push the Confederates southwest, and he famously met a standstill at that bridge. It's now known today as the Burnside Bridge, because as you can see from above, on the hill overlooking that bridge, that was heavily fortified by the Confederates. And as you can probably imagine, it's a little bit more dangerous to charge across a bridge completely unprotected with people raining down gunfire on you than it is to stand up in that ridge and fire down upon them. So there's a lot of casualties at that bridge. Burnside did successfully take it, but was then pushed back when a force from Harper's Ferry arrived, and then ended the evening by pushing the Union forces back a little ways, ending the fight in the stalemate. But really, it was a Union victory in a lot of ways. Okay, so why was it important? Well, one, it made the loss essentially by the Confederacy and the huge number of losses they experienced there helped in the decline of their legitimacy abroad. So countries like Great Britain or France wouldn't recognize them as an actual country and then maybe trade with them or provide them military support. Number two, because of that, it gave Abraham Lincoln confidence. 5 days later, after the Battle of Antietam, he enacted the Emancipation Proclamation that he had long debated with his cabinet about trying to enact, thereby essentially freeing the slaves in word. Now it would take action to make anything of that, but Antietam was huge in getting that passed or enacted. It also pushed the Confederacy out of the North in 1862. Now they would be back, and that's actually the question for this round: what turning point battle would make sure that the Confederacy stayed out of the North and turn the tide of the war? That's the question. This was Antietam. Stay tuned for a response.